What's up, guys? Golden Knight here. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the urge to draw hits hard? You start off excited, full of ideas, and then suddenly, a few days later, it all cools down? The excitement disappears. Everything else seems more interesting than drawing. And you start to wonder if this is normal or if there's something wrong with you. The truth is that almost every beginner artist goes through this, even those who now seem confident and productive. The problem is, no one teaches you how to handle motivation along the way, and if you rely on it alone, you'll end up stuck again and again. There are real, practical, and even lighthearted ways to keep the flame alive. Today, I want to show you 7 essential points that can completely change the way you experience your artistic journey. Find your why. Every artist starts with a reason. Maybe it was a drawing you saw as a kid, an anime that mesmerized you, a game that made you think, I want to create something like that, or even a tough moment when drawing became a refuge. That reason is your why. And as long as you stay connected to it, motivation tends to show up much more easily. The problem starts when that why fades further and further away until it disappears. Slowly, you stop drawing because you enjoy it and start doing it out of obligation, because you compare yourself to more advanced artists, or because you feel you have something to prove. That's why looking inward is more important than it seems. Ask yourself sincerely, what made me want to draw in the first place? It's not the pretty answer or the one that impresses others. It's the true answer, the one that, when you remember it, gives you a warm feeling inside. Be as honest with yourself as you can. Write it down. Put it on a piece of paper. Keep it close to your drawing materials, so you can remember it whenever your motivation falters. When your why is clear, drawing stops being an obligation and becomes a choice again. You're not there to please anyone or to run an invisible race against other artists. You're there because it means something to you. And that feeling creates an emotional foundation strong enough to carry you even through the hard days. Stop being so hard on yourself. Seriously. One of the biggest reasons beginner artists get stuck is the pressure they put on themselves. You sit down to draw already feeling like it has to be good enough to show the whole world, something professional. And when your lines don't match the perfect image in your head, frustration kicks in. You start to think maybe you're not cut out for this. But that pressure comes from an impossible expectation. You're judging yourself as if you were already experienced, as if years of practice could appear overnight. It's like trying to play a difficult song on the guitar without ever developing calluses on your fingers. The discomfort doesn't mean you're bad, it just means you're learning. In the beginning, drawing is messy. Shaky lines, weird proportions, ideas that don't come out right. And that's not a mistake in the process, that is the process. Every drawing that doesn't come out as you imagined is training your eye, your hand, and your perception. Even when you don't realize it, something is being built. When you reduce the pressure, the fear of failure starts to fade. And without fear, you take more risks. You try new things. You loosen up. And it's in this lighter state that growth happens more naturally. I believe the most valuable thing a beginner can do is draw way more for themselves than for social media. You don't need to post everything you create. Posting is important, getting feedback from other artists and all, but you should keep most of your drawings to yourself. That way, you avoid being afraid to explore and test new things. Establish a flexible routine. Motivation alone is unstable. It comes on strong some days and disappears completely on others. That's why artists who manage to grow don't rely solely on willpower, they rely on habit. But when people hear routine, they often imagine something rigid, stiff, almost like a boring obligation, but it doesn't have to be like that. A healthy routine starts small. Instead of promising to draw for hours every day, you pick a simple, realistic time that fits your actual life. It could be 15 minutes before bed, a bit of time in the morning, or a break when you'd usually be scrolling on your phone. That small amount of time, repeated consistently, is worth far more than rare, long sessions. Over time, your brain starts associating that time with the act of creating. Drawing stops being a difficult decision and becomes almost automatic. And the less energy you spend deciding whether or not to draw, the easier it is to keep going. The routine becomes a solid ground that supports you even when excitement is nowhere to be found. And here comes an important part, flexibility. If you can't draw one day, it doesn't erase everything you've built. It's not a reason to feel guilty or give up. Consistency doesn't require perfection, it requires returning. You can skip a day or two as long as you come back. That's what keeps the flame alive over the long term. Now, even with a routine, there's something that can either boost you or completely block you. the environment you consume every day. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Surround yourself with inspiration. What you consume daily directly shapes your desire to create. When you surround yourself with art, visual stories, creative processes, and artists who inspire you, something inside you gets activated. Your hand starts itching. You feel the urge to pick up a pencil and try too. Inspiration works as a constant reminder of why you chose this path. Seeing other artists creating, showing behind-the-scenes work, mistakes, sketches, and progress helps break the illusion that the people you admire were born talented. You start to see that the amazing piece that impressed you went through many ugly versions before getting there. It humanizes the process and brings you closer to the reality of learning. But here's the tricky part. The same references that inspire can become traps if you start comparing yourself in a harsh way. When you look at others' work as proof that you'll never be good enough, motivation disappears. Comparison stops being inspiration and becomes an attack on your self-esteem, and it happens without you even noticing. If this happens to you, the secret is to change your perspective. Instead of thinking, "I'll never be able to draw like that," start thinking, "I can get there if I keep going." Other people's art isn't a verdict about you, it's a map of what can be achieved with time and practice. It's an example of what's possible if you dedicate yourself enough. Set realistic goals. One of the fastest ways to kill motivation is to set goals that are way too big for where you are right now. At the start, you promise things like drawing 6 hours every day, studying everything at once to evolve quickly, reading 5 books in a week, and training twice a day. And somehow, for the first few days, it even works. But soon, exhaustion hits. And when you can't keep up with what you promised, frustration shows up along with the feeling of failure. The problem isn't wanting to improve, of course. The problem is ignoring your reality. Each person has their own pace, schedule, and energy level. Realistic goals respect that. They fit into your day, don't overwhelm you, and still leave room for life to happen. When you set a realistic goal and manage to meet it, even if it's small, you build self-trust. That self-trust is pure fuel for motivation. You start to feel capable of sticking to the practice, like you're no longer starting from scratch. And the more often you do what you said you would, the easier it becomes to keep going. Another important point is realizing that goals don't have to be grand. Sometimes, drawing a few times a week is enough to keep progress moving. What sustains your journey isn't extreme intensity, it's continuity. That's what builds real improvement. Drawing every day just speeds up the process. And there's a very powerful way to reinforce this sense of progress, especially on days when you feel like you're not getting better. That's what we're going to talk about next. Track your progress. While you're in the middle of the process, it's very hard to see how much you've improved. Your eyes adjust to what you do today and start focusing only on what still needs work. On top of that, you look around at other artists and they still seem better than you. After all, they've kept evolving too. They didn't stop. This creates the false sense that you're stuck, like all your effort isn't taking you anywhere. And that's exactly where many people give up, even when they're on the right path. When you keep your drawings, even the ones you don't like, you create concrete proof of your growth. Looking back at old work after a few months can be shocking. Details you didn't even notice before become obvious. That contrast is one of the greatest sources of motivation there is. Tracking progress doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a sketchbook, a folder on your phone, photos organized by date, or even redrawing an old piece with your current knowledge. This before and after exercise isn't for judgment. It's to see how far you've come. It reminds you that you're not standing still, even when it feels like it. And when motivation is really low, that record works like a hug from your past self saying, "Keep going, it's worth it." It pulls you back when your mind tries to sabotage you. Since I need to record my process to post on my channel, I like to keep a copy of those videos on my computer, sped up a bit. So whenever I'm not in the mood to draw but have to, I watch them. Procrastination is often tied to a fear of not being able to do what needs to be done, and having undeniable proof of what you're capable of is incredibly powerful. Accept that motivation will fluctuate, and that's okay. There's a dangerous idea lingering in the minds of many beginner artists, that people who love drawing are always motivated, always inspired, always in the mood. And when reality doesn't match that, people start thinking there's something wrong with them. But that expectation is false. Motivation isn't a straight line. It goes up, down, disappears, and comes back. That's part of the creative process. Some days you'll wake up full of ideas, drawing for hours without even noticing the time. Other days, holding a pencil will feel too heavy. That doesn't mean you've lost your love for art. It just means you're human. The problem isn't in the bad days, it's in giving up because of them. During low points, the most important thing is to swap pressure for care. Instead of forcing yourself to produce something amazing, you can just doodle without pressure. Or study a little. Or watch something art-related. Any light contact with the creative world helps keep the connection alive. And here's the game changer. More important than feeling motivated is staying in motion. Even slowly. Even without wanting to. Because it's movement that, over time, brings motivation back. Practice pulls the desire, not the other way around. When you look at all of this together, you realize that staying motivated as a beginner artist isn't about luck, special talent, or infinite willpower. It's about understanding yourself better, creating simple strategies, and being patient with your own journey. If this video helped you in any way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next ones. Thanks so much for watching all the way through. Don't forget to take a look at the description. There are several important links there that can help you even more. See you in the next video.